Hi all, and welcome to this week's episode of The Deep Dive. This week we've got a slightly different episode for you. Since we started The Deep Dive, I've been asked if we would be bringing back hidden treasures and will we be reviewing any of our own products. So this week I'm answering both of those for you. Yes, hidden treasures will be coming back. Now they may be coming back as part of the Deep Dive series, or we may bring them back as a completely different standalone video series. Now, for those of you that don't know Deep Dive and know the history of it, during lockdown, I decided to take a look at some classic magic products. Now, these were products, bearing in mind, Alakazam has been going now for more than 30 years. So the products I would look at were products that were really good, but back in the day, maybe, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Now, these effects, even though they were great then, they're still great today. The problem is there's so many effects coming out at the moment. I would say, with no exaggeration, there's most probably 20 new products being released a day, maybe even more. Now, go back 15, 20 years. Magic wasn't so easy to produce. The cost of producing an item was quite expensive, so you had to make a really informed decision. You had to make sure that the effect was up to scratch before you released it. In this day and age, you can release a product or a certain product pretty cheaply, so you tend to find that items that may be more suited to magazines or books are being released on a commercial basis. So sometimes the quality of those products are not quite up to scratch for a commercial release. But that's the world we're living in today. Now, I would say 20 years ago, we would have maybe one product released a month, one major product. And that's not Alakazam, that's the Magic Fraternity worldwide. And that gave the effect time to breathe, and it gave people time to learn it, time to enjoy it, time to talk about it. Nowadays, you buy a trick and tomorrow the next best thing is advertised. And I know that's the way of the world. That's how we are now. And what we try and do at Alakazam is we try and promote to you through our emails, through our socials, effects that we think are great and deserve your time, really. So we try and cut through all the maybe mediocre type magic and just show you the stuff that maybe you should be taking a look at. So before we go any further, just want to say, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Or like and subscribe. I don't know why I said that backwards. That really confused me. It's because I can't hear the sound. I haven't got my headphones in today. So like and subscribe our YouTube channel and you'll be kept bang up to date with every time a video goes live right here on Alakazam. And before we get into this week's product, I want to tell you that this coming Wednesday, that's August the 30th at 7 p.m, we've got a live launch on YouTube and Facebook, and I will tell you once again, this is a reworking of an Alakazam classic, but what I am sharing with you in this classic is something I've been working on for a very long time and trying to work out for a very long time, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, I think it could be one of the strongest card tricks you will ever perform. So make sure you join us. Remember, if you join us for the live, you could get access to the after show party where I will be sharing some bonus ideas and bonus tips for the effect that we are launching. So don't miss it. Wednesday, the 30th of August at 7 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. So what are we talking about today? We haven't got a guest. I'm the guest because we're talking about one of my products. I'm going to tell you the history, how I came up with it, and why we decided to re-release it. And that product is a Peter Nardi classic. It is Knock 'em Dead, the 25th anniversary edition. Now, I'm going to tell you, the advertising of this is slightly misleading because it says the 25th anniversary edition, sorry, but I actually released it maybe 28 years ago, but I just thought 25th sounded better than 28, sounded good. So let me tell you a little bit about a backstory of Knock 'em Dead. So back in the day when Alakazam started, it started as a very small business, and we started with a few Rob Bromley products. Myself and Jenny, I believe Holly was just born at the time, so Harry wasn't even a thought back then. And see where he is now is incredible. So big up to H for all he's doing for Alakazam. But I had a full-time job. I've said this on various interviews. I had a full-time job, and the Magic was a bit of a sideline, very, very small operation. The internet did not exist when we started Alakazam Magic. So how you would hear about our new products, or not that we were releasing a lot, but the new products that were coming in were through physical mail outs. I mean, I used to do these things on Word, sort of photocopy, stick them together, write addresses on them, post them out with a real stamp. And that's how you would get to hear about new products that were being released. And we would send that out every month, I believe, or every 2 months. It was quite an expensive thing, having to buy all the stamps, getting all the photocopying done, sending it out. And it was quite a time-consuming process. Completely different to typing out an email, hitting the send button, and away you go. But that's the way business was run back then. So we were running this very small mail order business, and we were appearing at a few different conventions. And I have always been someone that likes to create. I'm very bad at arts and crafts. You can ask anyone. So I don't make things. I need to have them made for me. But I always enjoy creating, and that goes back to when I was doing music and when I was DJing and things like this. I got very heavily into mixing. Back in the day, I started mixing when I was about 16, when turntables or turntablism was becoming a thing, hip hop was becoming a thing, and DJs. So I started, actually saying that, it was already a thing. Sorry, I'm about 10 years later after it had been introduced. But yeah, I just fell in love with turntables and what they can do. You can see I've still got a set of, anyone that knows, 1210s behind me. And I still dabble occasionally, but creating mixes and mega mixes and things like that, they're called mashups nowadays, was something that I loved doing because it was quite artistic, how you would make things blend together to create something new. And that really followed me onto Magic as well. I always loved creating effects, and Knock 'em Dead was not my first release. I had a couple of releases before it. I had a release called Just a Bit of Fun, X Marks the Spot, Manor House Murders, and then came Knock 'em Dead. But Knock 'em Dead was the one that I think put my name on the map. It was the effect that most people seem to really enjoy. The others were okay sellers at conventions, but Knock 'em Dead was the one that sort of went a bit worldwide. And I came up with it for a couple of reasons, actually. I had learned the principle of the core principle behind it. So the core principle is not mine, and anyone that's been into mentalism for a long while will know the core principle, and obviously it's all credited on here as well. But the core principle is not mine. I claim no originality on that. But I remember purchasing 3 or 4 different effects, and they all played out the same. And this was over the period of about 3 or 4 years. And they all played out relatively the same way. The spectator dealt through the cards. They could stop anywhere they wanted. You would open your wallet. Inside the wallet is an envelope. You tip out what's in the envelope. It's a playing card, and it matches what card they stopped on. Now, it seemed to me that everyone that was releasing this effect, and there was about 3 or 4 companies, maybe even more, releasing exactly the same effect with exactly the same payoff, with a slightly different wallet or a slightly different envelope. But it seemed to be one of those effects that was just out there. Anyone could release it. No one really claimed originality to it. Everyone just sort of released this routine and the way of revealing it. And I really loved that principle, but I wanted it to be self-contained. So for me, when I was going out with my friends, and I wasn't a professional performer back then, so I would go out with my friends to the bar, I was always performing magic all the time. And I think everyone can relate to this. Some people still do it now. I know when I'm with Craig Petty, he just wants to perform all the time. I myself am not so much like that now. When I go out, I like to go out socially, and unless I'm really prompted, chances are I won't perform. But at the time, I would perform. I was gagging to perform, and I know a lot of you can relate to this. So I wanted something that was a bit more self-contained, because back then as well, if you've been into magic for a long while, you'll realise that most of the magic wallets that came out back then were sort of suit jacket wallets, the taller wallets that would fit inside your jacket. Now, when you're out and you're wearing jeans and you've got a t-shirt on, that wallet is totally out of place. So I wanted to create the same sort of effect, but to make it self-contained. So I could carry it with me and it wouldn't look out of place. And this is what I came up with, Knock 'em Dead. And it seems that other people obviously wanted the same thing, because it became a very, very good seller, and worldwide. And people still refer to it. Even before this was out, people were still referring to it. When you go onto the forums and things like that, it is a modern day classic now. So before I talk any more about it, let's take a look at the trailer and what the effect is. Colin, let's try something out with a deck of cards. 52 different cards, each card in a different location. Yep. In fact, if you can take hold of the cards, you're going to do everything here. I want you to deal the cards one at a time, face up into my hand. The reason I ask you to do it face up is so you know I'm not cheating. Yeah. Now, I don't want you to focus on any one card in particular, but whenever you feel the time is right, just stop dealing. Okay. Okay. You happy here? Yeah, okay, take this card. We haven't seen it. Place it down on the table. Okay. Now, if you'd have stopped one card before, we would have landed on the 8 of clubs. One card after, we would have had the Queen of Hearts. But you stopped right here. And I think you've done a perfect job. I told you to stop when you felt the time was right. Yeah. You thought the time was right. Yeah. And I think you stopped in exactly the right place. In fact, I placed a prediction card in this deck before I came out today. If you spread the cards face down onto the table, you'll see my prediction card. It should stick out right down here like a sore thumb. Do me a favour, I don't want to touch it, just slide it out next to the card you stopped at. Now here we go, we've got the 3 of spades. It's a card that I predicted you would stop at? Now you could have chose any one of the 52. Turn it over and show the camera. What did you stop at?
No.
The 3 of spades. You've done perfectly. High five for that, mate.
That's mental.
So there it is in a nutshell. That's Knock 'em Dead. So the great thing about Knock 'em Dead is it's very direct. Your spectator is handed a deck of cards. They deal through the cards. They stop wherever they want, and your prediction matches. Now you can use this in a walk around situation because they just deal the cards into your hand, or you deal them into their hands and they say stop. It's entirely up to you. They can 100% handle the deck, that's not a problem, and they can deal them. But it's also very, very easy for your spectator to follow. It's such a strong effect, but super easy for them to follow. They make a decision, they stop on a card, and you've predicted it. It's an impossible effect. Now, if you watch people like Graham P. Jolly, Bob Cassidy, if you watch any of Bob Cassidy's old work, I'm trying to think of others that top names that use this, Johnny Thompson. These people, these top performers, will use this principle. Most of them use the wallet version because they do it more on stage, but it shows you the power. It's a great opener, it's a great feature piece, but for me, I wanted it as an effect that I could carry about without having to carry this huge wallet, and all the wallets were huge at the time, and that's why I created it. And then later on down the line, when I did become a professional performer, this was part of my walk around set, and it's one of those one and done effects. I think that was a Chris Rawlings comment about it. It's a one and done. If you've got time to do one effect and you really want it to make a huge impact, then Knock 'em Dead is that effect. If someone says, show me a trick, you get this deck out, boom, it's done. You don't have to do any more. Now, obviously, if you're paid to be there for 3 hours, you can't just do this and walk out. You've got to do your time. But if you're out and about, someone wants to see a trick, you show them this, boom, you're done. That's it. You're not going to top it. It's so direct, so simple. In fact, at this year's Blackpool, I think it was this year's Blackpool. Yeah, I'm sure it was this year's Blackpool. My good friend Nick Lacapo, who works for Penguin Magic, came up to the stand and asked what's new. And we're always checking out other people's products. So I'm always going to chat to Nick on the Penguin stand, seeing what amazing stuff they've got, and he always pops over to us. And I showed him Knock 'em Dead, and he literally fell in love with it. And then 2 days later, he sent me this video of him filming it in the Penguin studio, or I think it's the Penguin studio. It's the bar outside the Penguin studio. And we loved it, and he said we could put it on our YouTube channel. But this just shows you the power and simplicity of this effect. So let's take a look at Nick Lacapo.
Cards.
Yep.
Cards.
Okay.
Start dealing face up.
Face up.
Yep. And then whatever you want, say stop. No, you keep that. Right there.
Yeah.
3 spades.
Yep.
Did you feel like you had a free choice there?
I do feel like I had a free choice, yes.
Well, I wanted you to stop towards the beginning of the deck because there was something in the bottom half I didn't want you to see.
Yeah.
That was that card.
Okay.
Take it out of there.
Oh god.
Wait, what?
So that was Nick performing Knock 'em Dead. as you can see, it is just super strong, super simple. Sometimes what I like them to do is, if actually saying that, I won't tell you that. I'll let you watch the video itself. But I usually, when I perform it, I start the whole process using an effect that myself and Harry created called contactless. And that to me makes a lovely intro into the effect, because contactless is a freeway choice. And I can finish that by saying, look, that was only a choice of 3. Let's go for a choice of 52. Take hold of the cards, and then they deal through, and it's sort of a really lovely natural progression up from that. So I'm not going to keep talking about it for hours. I think I've given you everything you need to know, given you a bit of history on Knock 'em Dead and why I created it and when I created it. I'm so pleased that I was questioning relaunching it, as I always do my own products. I'm one of these guys that comes up with a lot of stuff but releases very, very little. And it's only when I really get pushed that I tend to bring out one of my products. Now, the good thing for for Alex Sam at the moment is Harry joined the company, as you will know, a few years ago. He's been far more involved in the last 2 or 3 years, heading up things like the social media, doing a lot of stuff on the website. So he's been a big integral part of the company, joining myself, Jenny, Andy, and Emma. But the good thing about having Harry there as well is Harry has been going through the Alex Sam back catalogue and seeing stuff that either we released many, many moons ago and it hasn't been available for a while, and stuff that we own the rights to that's never seen the light of day. And Harry is re-looking at them, and basically coming up and going, Dad, why isn't this still on the market? You know, our customers would love this. And that's exactly what he did with Knock 'em Dead. And he knows that it's an effect that I've been performing and still perform to this day. And he said, you know, it's about time. You've got so many little additions to it and everything else. So let's bring it out again. And I'm really pleased to say, and I'm very thankful to you guys, because when we brought it out again, it got very well received by everyone, and I'm so thankful for that. And once again, it proves that even though it's an old effect, it doesn't mean it's a bad effect. Old effects are great. Like I said, there was less of them out. You had to really be sure it was a great effect before you released it, or you would lose a lot of money, because it was a lot more expensive to bring tricks out back then. But Knock 'em Dead was out. We have got more Alex Sam classics coming out in the future as well, so keep your eyes out for those. And I'm going to be doing more of these sort of deep dive stroke hidden treasures coming up as well. But that's about it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I haven't bored you being here by myself and giving you the information on this trick. If you've got Knock 'em Dead, let me know in the comments what you think about it and what sort of reactions you've been getting. If you haven't got it, please go check it out. It's such a great trick, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, it is super easy to do. You do nothing. They do everything, which is always fantastic. It's in their hands, it is just great. But don't forget, this coming Wednesday, we have got a live launch. You really don't want to miss it, because remember, if you join us for the live launch, you get a chance of joining us for the after show, where I teach and talk about little bonus ideas that may not be included on the actual video instructions. So join us for the deep dive this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll be notified every single time we go live right here on our YouTube channel. And before I go, I just want to say thank you. I think I did it last week anyway, to everyone that took the time to come up to the Magic Live stand and say hello to myself and Harry. It was so great to meet you all. And please keep spreading the word. We are now shipping from the US. And we're so pleased to be welcoming more and more of our American Alaka fam into the Alakazam fold. So, guys, thank you so much, and thank you wherever you are for your support of Alakazam. It really does mean the world to myself, Harry, Jenny, Andy, and Emma. We are still a family-run business. We're not a huge commercial operation. We're still a small business running from Ashford, and you guys are, you're brilliant. Thank you so much for your support, and have yourself a great rest of the day and a brilliant week. And I'll hope to see you Tuesday for our regular live, which is at 2 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. If you can't make that, Wednesday at 7 p.m. BST, so that's 7 p.m. British summertime, on Facebook and YouTube for the live launch of our brand new release. So I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, I'm Peter Nardi. I hope you enjoyed the deep dive and have yourselves a great week.